Now the floor is to Mrs. Karapetian.
Thank you. Mr. Jagland, I am sure that you know that on June the 2nd, German Bundestag almost unanimously adopted a resolution on genocide of Armenians. Before and after this voting, some MPs were threatened by Turks. President of Turkey and other high-ranked officials named this decision with plenty of abusive words. President Erdogan even calls to check the blood of Turkish nationality MPs who voted in favour. Unfortunately, the idea of so-called clear blood is very much familiar to Europe, even from Nazi regime. What is your attitude to pressure of MPs, especially by other countries? How can one member state behave towards another member state just because of having fair voting? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the last question, I give the floor to Mr. Rouquet.
Oui, Monsieur le Secrétaire Général,
Mr. Secretary General, we note with concern the difficulties, increasing difficulties of enforcement in a number of member states. Only 2 states, the United Kingdom and Russia, refuse to execute certain decisions. What can be done, Mr. Secretary General, in order to remedy that problem?
To Mr. Singris, you referred to what happened 25 years ago. Indeed, it was an historic development that took place, and let's hope and work for all of us that this development will continue. Many say that we are now more or less in a state of Cold War again. I don't believe so. At least I strongly believe that it can be avoided and that one can find solutions to existing conflicts. That is our mandate to work for, and I hope that everybody else will do it. As I see all the threats around us, but we should not give up the Europe that was shaped after the fall of the Berlin Wall. With regard to the slaughter of people after the First World War in Armenia, my approach to this is what is said in the accords, the famous accords between Turkey and Armenia. It was foreseen that one should let the historians to give the answer on what happened there. This is where I stand now. I see that others have a different opinion and that national parliaments have adopted resolutions on this, but we do not have any other opinion in the Council of Europe, at least on the intergovernmental side, but I have no opinion on what the Parliamentary Assembly here should do. But I think that the best way to deal with history is to let those who are working with it, experts, to advise us on what are the facts, and then they can probably make our own opinions based on that. So every time I meet with leaders in Armenia and Turkey, I urge them to go back to what they agreed upon in the famous accords. It seems to be unrealistic now, but sooner or later I hope that they will do so. The question put by Mr. Roquet is a very important one, namely it is about the implementation of judgment from the court. We have, yes, it is, and I would like to commend you for the initiative you have taken to convene an important conference in the French National Assembly on this, in order to highlight the role of the court, the necessity to implement the convention at the national level. I would like to see more initiatives like this in our national parliaments, so that parliamentarians are more aware of the importance of the convention, the importance of implementing judgment, and what is said in Article 46 in the convention, namely that all member states shall undertake to implement judgment from the court. This is the strength of the Convention, which makes the European Convention different from, for instance, a UN Convention. There one doesn't have an individual right to bring a case to an international court, so therefore it is not so strong as a European Convention, because there we have this individual right and that the court decisions shall be implemented by member states. So if this is not being respected, then the Convention will collapse. That is why we are insisting on this important principle. Yes, we still have problems, for instance, with regard to prisoner voting in the United Kingdom, but it is not the only example. But I think that we need to remind ourselves what I've said, namely that what does rule of law mean? In this case, it means that the court has the final word. If not, then the Convention will be weakened or even collapse totally. And the more we can discuss this at the national level, the more we can give information on this important principle, the better it will be for the European Convention on Human Rights and the strength of the court. Thank you.